Hello there. It's your girl Valerie Mason Chase, and I have my cookie man here with me this evening.
Hey, y'all. Hey, what up? What up? I'm trying to get in touch with Melvin.
You trying to get in touch with Melvin?
Yeah.
He's trying to get in touch with someone else who was slated to be on our show this evening. So, anywho, Lovey, what are we talking about tonight?
If I gotta pay your bills and you ain't my wife.
Well, that's right down to it. I wanted to have this conversation because there seems to be something I've noticed, that there's this trend about the expectation, not just that men do it, but the expectation that women have when they're dating someone, not living together, not married yet, but when they're dating someone, that the man will provide some sort of financial support. I have my opinion and thoughts on that, but as always, I like to hear what other people are thinking about that. So we're going to dive right into it. So I'm going to ask you guys, and then Cookie Man will put his 2 cents in, because he ain't got 5 cents. He only got 2 cents. So what are your thoughts on that? Jackie, I'm going to start with you.
Well, why you got to start with me? So first, let me say, I think this generation is different than when some of us on this channel right now came up. I don't think that in general, I don't think that it should be an expectation for women to expect men to pay their bills when they're not married or living together. Because there were certain things that fall into play. One, how long have they been dating? 2, do they plan on building a future together? I just think that unfortunately not so many, but a lot of women, again, they're expecting a man to take care of them. And with that, they lose their own self-worth, in my opinion. Now, if I'm dating and a brother wants to help me out, that's different. But I don't want him to think that he has to pay all of my bills because he don't own me. But if he wants to help every now and then, that I'm not opposed to.
Okay. Kim. Oh, let me just say, Kim is with us tonight. And we have Melvin McCain also. Let me bring Melvin back on, because Jackie and John, those of you who have watched us in the past, you know that they are 2 of our regular panelists. But we have with us, we are blessed to have Kim, and we're blessed to have Melvin. I'm trying to think what might be the best view on here. I'm changing the view. Okay, that might be the best one right there.
Yeah.
So hey, Kim. Let me say hey to Kim. Hey, Kim.
Hi.
All right. Thanks for being with us tonight. And Melvin.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Hey. You.
All right. How's everyone?
We're doing well. Well. So, Kim, I want to talk to you. I want to get your take on that.
Well, I kind of agree with much of what Jackie said. I don't think it should be an expectation, right? If it's offered, I'm not even going to say I'm going to say yes, because there may be strings attached to that offering as well, right? So I'm like not going to lock myself into, okay, he feels like he's paying this, so I'm expected to act a certain kind of way. So yeah, so it's a little sticky.
Wow.
Yeah. Go ahead, Melvin. You look like you got something to say. Go ahead.
Wow. I mean, it just threw me off for a minute, because this is the topic that we was talking about before. And I feel that if we're dating, even if it's just twice a month for the last 6 months, and we have a mutual agreement how we feel about each other, there's nothing wrong with helping one another. There's nothing wrong with that. And as I said before, if it reached to that level where a woman offers herself to you, she didn't gave you everything that she has. It shouldn't be a issue or a problem coming from the heart if you want to look out for her.
Okay. Okay. I hear what you're saying, Melvin. And the way you described it as the couple mutually providing help and support for one another.
Yes, of course. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. All right. Jono, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I agree with what Melvin said in terms of the mutual understanding. Because if you're not living together and are not married, then the only way it makes sense is that both parties have either an explicit agreement or one that's sort of implied by their actions. And by that I mean, like, the agreement is maybe we're going to become more serious in the future. We're going to be moving in. We're going to get married, start a life together, something along those lines. Or the agreement is, from a man's perspective, I'm going to pay your bills, and in exchange for that, you're going to be available to me, whatever that may mean. You can take it to a rated R level or a PG-13 level, but there's probably going to be some sort of agreement or understanding that there are strings attached with those bill payments. Almost always are. No one's just going to do it if they're not getting anything out of it.
Okay. Lovey, what do you think?
Well, like the piggyback what John said. If I am paying, because when this question first came up, first thing I said, all of them, all the time. So, again, like John said, if we're not living together, and I'm footing the cost for your bills, I mean all your bills, that means hopefully in my mind, it definitely would be, and we're gonna have a talk where when I call you, maybe because I just want to hang, like John said, I want to go out tonight. You're not. I'm gonna start to say you're not in a position to say no, but you're grown. You can say no. That's why we have to have a conversation. And like I said, there's an understanding that, hey, if I call you, I want to hang out. That okay, Frank, I'm gonna drop what I'm doing, and we're gonna go out together. But on the other hand, if we're just dating each other, there should be no expectation that I'm gonna foot your bills or you're gonna foot mine. Now, if I call you up and say, hey, listen, babe, I'm running a little short. You got $100 to help me out with this.
Yeah.
I would hope if we are in some kind of relationship, even if it's not exclusive, if we are in some kind of relationship, you might be in a position to help. Now, if you say you can't, then you can't. I can't think or believe just because we're in some sort of relationship, especially if it's not exclusive, that you're going to always say yes if I need a helping hand.
Okay.
Conversely, if you ask me, I'll be able to help you if I can, and if I can't, I can't.
Yeah.
But I'm not paying your bills all the time unless I'm living with
unless
you.
You're living there. I get what you're saying, and I kind of feel the same way that Jackie and Kim, because I don't think there's anything wrong with a couple when a man and a woman are in a relationship. That's different, I think, from just dating. If you're just dating, because I think we have in our culture, and I mean American culture, not African American culture specifically, but just in general, I think we have equated dating with sexual intimacy so much that when you say you're dating someone, there's kind of this assumption that there's going to be some sexual intercourse taking place. So if you are just dating and just kind of going out here, going out there, and if the man offers to do it and the woman does not expect him to do it, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think it becomes an issue when there is this expectation where, well, if he can't pay my bills, I can't be dating him. Why? I don't know, babe, but I don't remember that being a thing when we were young.
Nope.
I just don't remember that being a thing, because I think in our age group, women wanted to be more independent and didn't want to have or depend on whomever they were dating for some financial assistance. And it's a funny thing because Frank mentioned about, and so did Melvin, about each one helping the other. Now, it's a funny thing when a man is providing financial support for a woman. I don't think that is necessarily frowned upon, or people don't look askance at that. But if a woman is providing financial support for the man and it's only flowing that way, people usually have a whole lot to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say, most of the time, I don't think men or just people in general don't offer you money for your bills. What
Hammy said. Go ahead.
We don't just offer something. Somehow we have to be let know. It has to be let know that you need help. Because if we start dating, I'm not going to after a month say, "Hey Val, why don't I just pay 3 of your bills every month?"
That's true.
You have had to have communicated with me in some kind of way.
Dry begging.
That you need assistance. You need some kind of assistance as opposed to I'm just going to offer.
It could be dry begging, or perhaps not dry begging, and the woman just has a real need. Hey, Miss Ollie, how you doing? So Hammy said,
"That's my other son, Frank.
We are not in a committed relationship. I only got $40 for your cell phone bill, only because I'm gonna need a way to contact you." That's our oldest son, Hammy. Anyhow, hey, Miss Ollie, Miss D, thank you guys for tuning in. So I think, what do you think about it going the other way when a woman is providing financial support for a man? And also, I want to talk about what Frank mentioned, that there has to be some conversation where it comes to light for the gentleman to know that the woman needs help.
You're talking from a perspective of just dating, not being like married or cohabitating, right?
Not married or cohabitating, right?
Dating, you're not going to find it. I don't think you're going to find that at all. Where it's going to be a woman who's paying a man's bills when they're just living apart and they're not like in a full long-term committed relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, you might find it very rarely, but it's not going to. I don't think it's going to be common, because most women, if they're taking care of you and you're not married or anything like that, they're going to look at you like a bum. And if you're the type of man that's going to ask for a woman to take care of you when you're not living with her or married to or have kids with her, you are a bum. To be quite honest, I think it's unfortunate that there's a double standard in that regard. But most men have too much ego to allow that to happen, and most women have too much of judgment on men who need to be taken care of, then that they wouldn't do that. I don't think. Now, if you're married, it's different, obviously.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that in the sense where I have seen situations where some women that have not been in a relationship for a long time, meet someone and very fond of them, and gifts and things have been issued out only for what they felt for them through the relationship. I'm not saying they look for it in a sense where they were looking for it. I'm just saying sometimes people, especially these days with the disconnection. See, ever since COVID, it's been a disconnection of people. People don't conversate like they used to. People don't go out like they used to. Even couples, they don't touch like they used to. They don't, it's like a whole different culture. And it's sad because you can see it, because there's so many people walking around here that are unhappy.
Yeah.
You can see it in them. They are so unhappy, and you can see it. And when you sit and talk with them, because people will talk to you. A lot of times women in conversations, they'll tell you what they're going through, and men what they're going through culture-wise now in these days and times that we live in. It's a big difference. It's a big difference than 10 or 15 years ago. And people will step out of the norm to do things just to have that connection.
Yeah, that's a good point. Go ahead, babe.
I want to mention something John said about men. It's rare for a man to, especially if he's just dating someone, to ask for help or want help.
Oh, I don't think that's so rare nowadays.
Well, no, I give an example. I've been married over 40 some odd years. Even when my pockets are running low or it's completely dust in there, I feel a certain some way
that's true.
when Val has to help, or maybe I need to ask, hey, babe, I need $100 to get me through the week. As the man in me, even though it's my wife and that's her, supposed to work out, it bothers me when I feel like I'm in that position. So that's why I think most men won't ask for help. I mean, a lot of guys ask and probably don't give a damn.
Mm-hmm.
But just in general, I know how I feel sometimes. And even on Val said I got your back, and you need a $20 or something.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time I'll just say no, even though I need it or something. I don't know how to, other than saying it that way. That's the best way I can explain it.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But see, and I think the operative word here is man. Because see, nowadays we have so many boys who think that they are men and they're looking for a woman to take care of them. Right. And so the difference is a real man takes pride in himself.
Right.
And so 9 times out of 10, a real man is not going to look for a woman to pay his bills or take care of him, whether they're dating, married, or just in a long-term relationship. Will he be willing to, like I think Melvin said it, that mutual, I wash your back, you wash mine, I got you, you got me. That's the difference.
Yeah. But what if, let's say, this is the relationship. Honey, don't worry about that. Nobody's ringing the bell. Those some kids out there playing.
Okay.
They all in front of the ring, making it chime. So what if this is a relationship? And they have an agreement, like John said, where maybe the guy has really fallen on hard times and he doesn't have the financial wherewithal to really contribute to the relationship, but the woman does, and she provides all of the financial support. But they agree on that, and it works for them.
Then more power to them. If it works for them, and they have an agreement, more power to them.
Yeah, but I think and I know that all the sister girls in the Amen corner gonna call her a fool. How you gonna be taking care of this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, even when you're married. Even when you're married. And if you have the larger income, them Amen corners, they will tell you that you're a fool. Been there, did it. No, I'm not. That's my husband. Or that's my partner. And what I do for our family.
Right.
But,
there you go.
We have that, what was Tyler Perry's movie she played? Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Yeah.
That thing about Black women, we're so angry, we're so this and we're so that. Well, sometimes there's reason to be that way, but a woman, a real woman who's confident in herself, who knows her worth, she won't have a problem with it when there is an understanding between the two.
Yes, and when there is some level of reciprocity, because maybe he can't provide financially to the same level that the woman can, but he's providing emotional support. He's doing all these other things for her. She feels loved. She feels appreciated. She feels supported in every other way. So that kind of, from my perspective, helps to balance it out. Now, if he just gonna be sitting on his behind, not doing anything, she's working, come home, gotta cook, come home, gotta take care of the children, come home and gotta clean, come home and got to do laundry and all that. No. That's the problem.
That's different.
That's the problem. Absolutely.
Okay.
So, I think it all comes with a level of maturity as well. It's like, some women really, like, literally from like the age of 18 to, I'm going to say, I know some as old as 65 that still have that expectation. And it's that's just the way they were. That's the way they grew up. We have debates about this all the time, right? On the other hand, that's not how I was. I was always raised on the independent side, right? So like everybody's saying, either it's going to be mutual, right? Communication is key. But I don't see people having a conversation on their first or second date. Hey, what do you feel about paying my bills? Like, it's not going to be a conversation that's going to happen that quickly. So it all goes with time.
It all comes with time.
And if you do on the second date, there definitely won't be no third one. That would be
right. My daughter-in-law Liz said something. She said, I also think when someone just takes care of someone's bills just because, and not when there is a legitimate need or a hard time, then it hinders the other's drive. That's a good point. Yeah. it makes them less likely to want to provide for themselves and to work hard in order to provide for themselves. But
Yeah,
I'm wondering something. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I said, yeah, that's a good point.
I want to ask this, and this doesn't. It's not really on topic, but kind of on topic, because we know about me, you, Jackie, Kim, and our generation. We were brought up to be strong, independent women, and I'm wondering, is it possible for us to go too far with that?
Yes.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to hear from the brother. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, Melvin.
Most definitely. Listen, I understand the dynamics on like once again, we go back to culture. The culture has changed where women in the last 40 years, you have come evolved so far, running companies, running businesses. They are bosses. They're no longer in the kitchen. They're running companies. They're they're doing their thing. But in the essence of all of that, you lose. You lose. And I know some women can do it, can juggle, but I think you lose that family. You lose that drive to have that family from that little girl dream that y'all had as little girls, of that wedding and that guy, that special guy, that you would spend the rest of your life with. I think you kind of lose on that, because the way you go for your career and you go for, you strive to be the best that you can be in what you're doing in your career. And I think you lose out somewhat. I think you lose out a little bit of some of the family, what I was trying to explain before. I can't put it into words, but I think that something is missing. Something is missing in that. And I believe that. I'm sorry, go ahead, sweetie.
No, I was gonna say what I would phrase that as losing some of your feminine energy and being very much tapped into your masculine energy. That's the way I would phrase it. I don't know if that's what you meant.
You know what, Mom, I think is your question was, can it go too far with that strong, independent woman mindset? I think it can, if you don't know how and when to turn it off. That's all cool when you're at work and when you're trying to lead a company and advance professionally and through your education or whatever. But part of the male-female dynamics are that I'm assuming, at least, that a lot of women want to be taken care of. They want to be pampered, even if they can do it themselves. You feel a certain degree of special when your man actually takes you out or treats you to the night out on town or shows you a good time without needing your input or your financial contribution. And I think a lot of women don't know when to shut that off. And to some extent, it could come off to a man as being emasculating. Like let a man be a man from time to time. You don't always need to be in control or be the boss. That's not always attractive, And I think that's part of the problem, is that so many women are like, I'm so independent, I don't need a man. But then fast forward a few years, you don't even have a man. So that's the problem. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
And that's a topic. That's a topic I know we can be on all night.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, because I think in some ways we have kind of either lost or are losing the ability to balance.
Exactly.
Right.
And to know what that balance looks like. But my sister girl, hey Aisha, thank you for watching. She says, yes, ma'am. We have taken that to a whole nother level, the strong, independent woman. She said, but somehow we have to remain submitted to our husband so that they can still feel like the man and provider, protector. And see, that S word, that's opened up a whole can of worms for some women,
Yeah.
That whole position.
But yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jackie. You look like you want to say something.
No, not yet.
What are your thoughts on us women from our generation being raised to be strong and independent and don't need a man and blah, blah, blah. Have we taken that too far?
I don't know. She's talking to
You asking me or Kim?
Oh, okay. Are you asking me? I think some women have definitely taken it too far. And the key word out of everything everybody said is balance. Like I do my thing all day, all week long. But there's also that balance where I also need, like, I used to be one of them, I don't need a man, blah, 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 blah. That's all a front. I'm telling y'all now. I'm going to let the secret out. That's it's a front. I'm just going to let the secret out there because if you don't, we were made for companionship. Like we were built that way. That's why we're here. That's that. So you can't take that part and dismiss it. You know, you can elevate. I'm all for, you know, women running businesses. I love it. I love it. It's empowering. You know, hats off to everybody. But where do you have that time for yourself where you get what you need? Like not just, you know, in the work field, but emotionally. So it has to be balanced.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a story that some women tell themselves to try to not experience the loneliness and the emptiness from not having a man. So they just say, well, I don't need one. Well, I'm like you, Kim. I do. I don't know about nobody else. I do. And I want him. I want my husband. Okay. Now, do I need him?
Right. I was about to ask.
No, I don't need him, but I sure as hell want him. I sure as hell want him. And I won't be one to go around saying, well, I don't need a man. I can do this for myself. I can do that for myself. But there comes a point in time, I believe in every woman's life, when you look around and you want someone there. You want someone to share your life with, share your hopes and dreams with, to share your joys with, to share all of the experiences that we have as human beings. Because life is, from my perspective, is better lived when you do have someone.
Or to get them hoppity bugs that run around the house.
Oh, right, to get the bugs.
No, you need me.
I need you for that. There are these bugs that scare the living crap out of me, and they just jump. I never seen those bugs in New York. These are Pennsylvania bugs, okay? And they just jump and they real fast, and they only come around in August and September. That's the only time of the year I see them. I don't know how they get in the house, but they scare the crap out of me.
Listen.
I called Frank one day. I was here. I was counseling someone, and I saw one out the corner of my eye. I called Frank.
I was at the gym. I had to leave the gym down there to come home to deal with this little ass bug. Excuse me, I can say that right. Little ass. I had to leave the gym for some bug. Oh my goodness.
So listen, before I move down there, y'all better find me a man.
Can't deal with bugs, can't deal with snakes, nothing like that.
Yeah, I can't.
All right. So
I have been the married woman with a man, and I am now I say single because I've been divorced for so many years. And to piggyback on what Val was saying, because her and I talk about it a lot. I don't say that I don't need a man. I will say sometimes that I don't want a man, and that's only because I've been single for so long. But like Kim said, it's a front. It really is. Because we are meant to be in companionship. We're meant to be with someone. You know, there are days where I don't feel well. I don't want to, but I don't have somebody to say, hey, babe, don't worry about it. I got you. So I have to do it anyway. So I would really like to see our women understand that, yes, we all need somebody. And for the men to understand the same thing so that we really can come together as one. Yes.
I think it is so sad because the males and females just seem to be pitted against each other. I mean, when you look on YouTube, you see so much of that. Bashing women, bashing men, talking bad about black women, talking bad about black men. It really breaks my heart when I see that. it really breaks my heart because you're right, Jackie. We need to just come together, just try to figure this thing out, because at some point, most of us are going to be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But if you enter thinking that he's a POS or she just a thought, if you enter with that attitude, you kind of already have sabotaged the relationship.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to ask about something else, because I saw this on I don't know if it had to be Instagram because I don't have TikTok. It might have been Facebook. I don't know. But it was a social media. And it was two different perspectives. One was a man who was saying that the mother of his child has other children that are not his. And he would provide for his child, but she got an attitude because he didn't also provide for the other children that are not his. And then I saw one with a woman speaking, and she was saying, yeah, well, if I have other children, he's supposed to provide and take care of them too. Now, he's not the father of all the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Just one.
Were they living together?
Huh?
Were they living together?
In one situation,
yeah,
they were not. They were broken up. He was providing for the child the woman has for him, but she was expecting him to provide for the other children
he doesn't.
That are not his.
I don't think he owes them children. He doesn't owe those children anything unless he is living with them, as taking them in to some extent as his own. So if the mother and father are living apart, his only obligation is to provide for his own children. The other kids, sorry, they're on their own, or their mother's obligation has to take care of them, or their actual daddy has to take care of them. That's the problem, is that their actual father is probably a deadbeat. So she probably found somebody who is more stable, clearly not stable entirely, but more stable than her first father, and is trying to hitch a wagon to that man to try to bring the other kids along. But if you're taking in children that aren't yours, then I think even if you don't actually just expressly talk about it, there's got to be some expectation that they're living in your household. You have to feed them. Like why would you not? But if you're not living with them, they don't exist as far as I'm concerned. It sounds awful, but why would he pay for kids who aren't his and who aren't living with him?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of those occasional things. I'm not living with you, but you have my son or daughter. You have two other kids. Now, occasionally, if I come to visit mine, I might bring something for everybody.
Of course, yeah, that's different. Yeah,
I might take everyone out, but to expect me to be responsible for their everyday living, clothes, doctor's visits, and all that other thing, that's wrong. Go, like I said, go to court, get a child support order against the father. Now, of course, like John said, if we're living together, of course, I can't, like I said, the kids got to eat. They need some clothes.
Right.
I can't say, well, these aren't my kids. And if you ain't getting no money from the father or the mother, depending on the situation, that they're not going to get clothed, or they're not going to get fed, or all those things. They're in our house together. They are our kids because of the connection with us. We have one biological or two, and we have two that are not biologically mine, but we are in the house. We are building some semblance of a family. I cannot exclude them because I didn't birth them. How you think the kids are going to feel, and and they'll grow up to think about things. So you want to give them the best stable environment you can provide if they're under your roof.
Yeah. Anybody else want to pipe in on that?
Well,
I agree. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
From experience of dating women with children, and having 5 children of my own, but I have raised a lot of children that wasn't mine through dating women. I have been involved with women over the years that had children and became fond of the children and looked out for them like they were my own. But I believe every situation is different. And I believe it's how you treat it in that situation, because it could be a situation where you're dating someone and they have a child and they exclude their child away from you. You know what I mean? Their child is never in your presence or never introduced them to their child as a friend of theirs, you know, because some people like keep their children away when they're dating. You know what I mean? They very private. Well, you don't need to know him until after a period of time they get more comfortable with you. They might, you know what I mean? So, but I see that's a funny situation for me because I believe this here. I have been blessed by so many children being in my life, you know. So at the time, if they were in my life and I looked out for their mother, I looked out for them. That just was the situation, you know. And it came back as a blessing because they all older now, and they all remember, you know, like yo, that was my mother's friend, but that's Uncle Mel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it all depends on the situation and what the environment is, I believe.
Yeah, I agree too, because let me just say, so I agree with Melvin because I've seen it on both sides, right? I've seen where a man has taken care of these children that were not his and they separated, but I've seen that go to the whole extent where when that young man became a teenager, that's the only person he had a relationship with. So therefore, you know, this man felt like, okay, there's no one else in the family talks with these two. So it goes to show you it's the relationship between that child and that man as well. I don't think it really had a whole lot to do with her. Like if you're not living there anymore, you're gone. But you know, sometimes men will feel like, you know what, I have a love for that child. I'm going to take care of that child. But that's not to say that anybody should expect that. That's a personal choice.
Yeah.
You know, it's a choice.
Okay. Yeah, because I see how that can be a tricky situation because I think it's almost impossible to date someone over 30 who doesn't have children. I think it's really nearly impossible. Not impossible. Very, very difficult. I'll put it like that. Because most people nowadays, 30 and older, they have at least one child. So I'm wondering about how do you navigate that? Let's say you're the one with the child and you're dating someone. Is there a particular time frame you look for? Is there something you look for in the individual to indicate when you might be ready to introduce that child to the new person in your life? How do you navigate that?
Well, I can speak on that in a sense from a man's perspective, because in the beginning, when I started having children, my two oldest ones, I raised them without the mother, you know, and I dated women, and it was hard because when they found out that you had children, no, really, they didn't put their all into it. You know, the dates were what they were, and that was it. It wasn't nothing long term because I guess at the time and the culture wise, women, it would have been hard for, I guess, a woman to say, I'm not taking on a guy with 2 kids. You know what I mean? So that's just from my perspective.
Yeah. And you know what? I can concur, because I know when before I met Frank, one of the things I said that I didn't want to marry someone who already had children. I just didn't want to deal with it. And not because I'm incapable of loving another child. I was looking at the dollars. I'm worrying about, you know, money going outside of the house, because if he has other children, there's no way I'm going to be with someone who's not financially supporting his child. But at the same time, I know me, and I know that I would have resented that with our money that we're earning going outside of our home. So maybe some of the women you dated at that time, Melvin, or attempted to date, might have felt the same way. I don't know. How do you guys feel? I mean, all of y'all at the age now, if y'all with somebody, they got grown kids.
And the other problem,
It's not me.
The other problem in that situation is the relationship with the mother or father, whichever it is. If we are on friendly terms and I'm dating you, there's probably going to be some concern, possible concern. Okay, he has a child with this woman. He says he's going to visit the child. Is he still seeing the woman?
He over there for 5 hours.
It has to cross one's mind.
Yeah.
What might still be going on with the ex, the mother, in case like that. That's why you had to have those conversations. Listen, I'm going to pick up my kids. You're more than welcome to come, since you're concerned about me going over there.
That's asking for trouble.
Yeah,
that's asking for trouble. Yeah.
I agree, John. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think if you're not married to the person or you're not in a serious, committed relationship that's going to lead to longevity, I don't think that the woman you're dating should go with you to pick up your children. It's going to be an annoyance to the child's mother. Probably.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying why you bringing that so and so to my damn house. The mother of the child, sure.
Yeah.
But I was talking from the perspective we are in a committed relationship, but I have a son living with my ex.
Yeah.
Instead of you arguing me why you got to go pick her up, let's go pick her up together.
I hear that. But first of all, I don't think that there should be an argument if a man is wanting to be in his child's life and want to go and see that child. I have a problem with women who say, well, no, you can't him, you got to be here, we got our own kids and you can't do this. No, I think that is a problem.
That would cause
because for a woman to be with a man and comfortably be with him, or a man to be with a woman and comfortably be with them when they are not providing for their other children, that ain't right. That ain't right. If anything, I think your partner should encourage you to be financially responsible for your child. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem. Is I think your example was like, if I'm dating somebody and I have kids, right? But I'm not with let's say me and my wife broke up, and I start dating somebody else. No matter what happens, that subsequent partner is always going to be second place to my relationship with my baby's mother or my ex-wife, however you want to put it, because that bond can't be broken. Even if we are no longer together, we're going to be in each other's life. So it's very difficult to navigate that. I think that was your question, was how do you navigate it? It's tough. Yeah. And if I'm dating a woman who has kids with another man, it's going to be tough for me because at some point he's always going to be in the picture. And if they're doing it right, I'm always going to be second place to those children and their relationship with their father. So that's why it's incredibly difficult if you're doing it right, I would say, because if you're doing it right, you're not going to impede your children's relationship with their parent just because you're not with them. So you have to make certain concessions, even if you're seeing somebody else. And if that person you're with doesn't get it, it's going to be a problem forever, and it's probably not going to work out long term for everybody involved. So
you're right.
So to answer your question directly, I don't know how to navigate it. And if everything goes according to plan, I will never have to navigate that situation. So I don't want to have to answer that question. I don't want the experience to know how to deal with that. I'm happily married. I have 2 kids. I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. So, and I know my wife's watching, so I'm giving her a shout out by saying that.
and you know your mama ain't having it. Listen.
No, exactly.
Ain't going for that. Yeah. So Sister Aisha said, you made some great points, Jono, and I agree, and I think that's what makes blended families difficult sometimes, and because it's usually not the child, it's the parents who can't get out of the way.
Yep.
The adults, they have a contentious relationship with their ex, and then it spills over. It should never touch the child. Whatever's going on between you and your ex, it should never touch the child. If it's a woman who has children by someone that she's not with anymore, she should encourage the relationship between that child and his father or her father to the degree that the father wants to be involved. Now, if the father don't want to be involved, that's a whole different can of worms, and it makes it difficult for the mother. Because sometimes the child, until he or she gets older, may blame their mom for their father not being around. What are your thoughts on that?
That's true.
So it's true. And that's why so much of this does fall on the women, unfortunately, as the bearer of children. Like we have to learn how to literally be fair, right? We know, let's be real, a lot of women use that child as a pawn for different things that you're not supposed to be doing. Like you don't ever use a child to get back at a man or use a child, I've seen a situation where, mom was mad at dad, so the family couldn't see the kids. Like, the families have been in the kids' lives forever. That's just, to me, just childish and foolish, right? We have to, we gotta all play. We gotta play together. We gotta be on the same team when it comes to the kids. We gotta be on the same team. Like even now, as grown as I am and as grown as my children are, if I'm dating somebody, it's still gonna take me a minute to introduce them to my grown kids, only because it's just like I don't bring nobody in who's not gonna be there. Not at this point. It's like it just doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Totally.
I think the key phrase is. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, go ahead, Val.
I think the key phrase is in the best interest of the child. And unfortunately, the adults don't always take that into consideration when the relationship is no longer there. I watch a lot of Judge Judy. That's my girl. I love me some Judge Judy because she's fair. She can be abrasive sometimes, but she controls her courtroom and she's fair. And I have heard her tell women, they're in the court. The woman will say, well, I'm his mother. And Judge Judy would say, yeah, and he is the child's father. Don't care if he's not paying child support, he still needs to have a relationship with his child. You don't withhold the child for ransom, essentially. Now, it's your right, and you are within your right to go to court and seek child support. But in the interim, you don't withhold the child from their father because, or their mom for that matter, if he or she is not paying child support. And unfortunately, some women will do that. If the man or the woman, if they're not paying child support, they won't let the other parent see the child.
Yeah, and that's wrong. I mean, when we got divorced, my kids were teenagers, but never stopped them from hanging out with their dad ever.
Yeah.
And they had their relationship. The crazy thing is, him and I are now friends because I'll have to live with him no more. So him and I are friends. But whenever there's something going on family wise, him and I can still come together. We invite his girlfriend. She chooses not to come, but the invitation is there because I know who I am and I am confident in myself. And unfortunately, I had to have a conversation with her once because she had an issue with him being or doing things for his children. And that's no. So her and I had to, because I'm their mom, and I had to have a conversation with her and let her know him and I will all, as you said, John, we will always be connected.
Always.
Because we're their parents and he's their dad. And if he chooses to do something for his children, I don't care how old they are, that's his business. But what you will not do is open your mouth against one of mine because I gave birth to them. And the thing is, but it's because of her own insecurities. And I can't help that. I can't help her insecurities. I think we as women in general, again, we have to be confident in ourselves, know who we are, shut out all of the outside noise, and do what we know that we're supposed to do. A man who takes care of his kids, who will go to court when the mother leaves to fight for the right to see his children, I support that 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
I agree.
Don't let a woman tell you because they're separated. Don't let a woman tell you you can't see your kids. Nope. If you know that you're not doing anything to hurt your children, no. Fight for your rights.
Fight for your rights. But unfortunately, I don't think enough men are fighting for their rights. What do you think?
You know that. You see that every day. This is why the the black structure is broken. The structure as we as a people is broken. Broken to the point where our youth, a handful, are doing the right thing, their education, moving forward, and the rest of them are just standing still, waiting for some miracle that I have no idea what they're waiting for.
Right.
And they don't have an idea what they're waiting for. You know, and it's sad because they're sitting still. And the more you talk to them about, and I'm not talking about my sons and daughters, I'm talking about my grandkids. It's affecting, you know what I mean? That next level of generation. They're just standing still. Yo, you have to think about your future. What is your plans?
Yeah.
What about tomorrow? What about next week? I tell them, I said, don't you know, when I go to bed at night and I say my prayers and I wake up in the morning, my mind is already, from the time my feet hit the floor, my mind is clicking about Friday. I'm thinking about Friday already. Monday's going to take care of itself because I'd already thought about it. You know, and I be trying to instill that in them. You have to move forward. Keep moving forward no matter what, no matter how small. It's almost like a football game. Every inch counts that you're moving forward and not backwards.
Yes. I agree. 100%. You know, that is part of a much larger conversation, because that requires a lot of work. That's a lot of work, a lot of thought, a lot of planning, and also for our generation, taking a lot of accountability, because somewhere the ball dropped. So we have to look at that and see where was the ball dropped, to the point where you have so many of our young men who have, and in a way, you kind of abandon their children.
Right.
And they're with this woman, and then they start a family with her, and then they go to the next woman and start a family with her. But meanwhile, all the others are there. Now, if he can manage to be responsible for all 3 or 4 or 5 sets of children, God bless him. But unless he's Jeff Bezos or somebody else with a whole heap of money, it's going to be very, very difficult to provide financial support for 4 or 5 different sets of children. And very often when the non-custodial parent finds themselves in a place where they can't provide that financial support, then they withdraw the physical and emotional support as well, because they might feel bad about not being able to provide. Well, I don't have anything, I can't provide, so I'm not going to come around. But the thing is, I believe children want your presence more than your pocket.
Yep.
I think that means a whole lot more. Just be there. You know, you might not be able to provide them with those $100 sneakers. I guess sneakers still cost $100. They probably cost more than that.
They're like 180, 220 at this point.
Maybe you can provide them with that, but you can be there with them. You can go to the basketball court with them. You can go, what do you call that? Baseball. You could something, so that the child knows that he or she is still loved by their non-custodial parents. And really, the money ain't got nothing to do with it. It would be great if they could, but if they can't, just be there. What do you think, babe?
You better. I'll be there, because he ain't getting no $180 sneakers from my behind. I'll buy $180 sneakers for myself.
Yeah.
And you know what, Mom, is what you asked the question earlier. Something about do we see men fighting for their rights to just be there with their children? And I think the problem is that you have to fight. Like, what you shouldn't have to fight on both sides. As the non-custodial parent, you shouldn't have to fight to see your children, and as the custodial parent, you shouldn't have to fight your other parent for child support. Because once you start fighting, once the system becomes involved, you are by default in adversarial position. It's an actual lawsuit. It's like there's 2 parties fighting against each other, asking the system to rule on whatever rights they're asking for. And in a fight, somebody's going to get hurt. That's just how fights go, whether it's physically, emotionally, or some other way. And when you're dealing with parents and children, the likely result is that everybody's going to get hurt. But the ones who are going to suffer the most from it are probably the children.
Yeah.
So if you ideally, you wouldn't have to involve the courts or the judicial system. You'd be able to work it out like mature adults and be able to do some sort of co-parenting relationship. But we all know it doesn't happen that way because I don't know. Like that's a whole different discussion. So I don't want to offer reasons for that.
No, but that's good, John. Those are great points.
Yeah, but bottom line is it shouldn't have to be a fight. But
it shouldn't have to be a fight. But unfortunately, a lot of times it has to end up that way because I hear some guys like, yeah, man, she put me on child support. Well, yeah, Negro, guess what?
if you were paying, if you were there and actively participating, and like you said, it's not really about the money. If you were just there making your presence felt, she wouldn't feel the need to hit you in your pockets.
Exactly. Exactly. And would probably be willing to accept a whole lot less than the court is going to require you to pay. If y'all could sit down and talk, hey, babe, I this is our child together. I love my son, my daughter. I want to be there for them. They can come and stay with me. I'll do things with them. I'll show up on school night. I'm going to be present in a child's life. I just don't have financially a certain amount of money, but I'm going to give you. It's not that I'm going to just neglect you totally financially. I'm going to give you what I can.
Right. And like you said earlier, for the kids' perspective, they just want you, particularly from a father's perspective, because there's so many absent fathers. Like if your presence is just felt, that goes a lot further than dollars and cents do. Because they're not going to remember the dollars and cents, but they'll remember the memories, or they'll remember that you weren't there when something was important to them.
Good. That's really good.
I think what happens is when you say we shouldn't have to fight, unfortunately, human nature is you act when you're hurt and you're not thinking clearly. So you act from a place of
your pain,
anger, and everything else. And sometimes that can last a long time. It's very rare that one can get hurt or people can get hurt. And after a couple of weeks, you can come together and talk. It takes a while for people to get over that hurt. And in the meantime, something's being lost for the children. True. And you're just acting like a fool because you're angry. You're hurt.
That's true. Yeah. When John, you talked about fathers being absent, there's a gentleman who was supposed to come on the podcast, I think sometime in February. And the title of it is Father, Where Are You? Because he has a whole program to teach young Black men how to show up positively in their child's life. I am so looking forward to that. So you guys be on the lookout for it. I think it's in February. It could be in March. I'm not sure, but I know it's not in January. It's Father, Where Are You? So just be on the lookout for that. Okay. So I want to thank you guys for being here with me and the Cookie Man on this evening. Great conversation. You've all made some great points. I appreciate you so much. Make sure, if those of you who are watching, if you have not already, to subscribe, to like, to share, and all that good stuff. You can find us also on Instagram at Marriage Beyond the Breach. So next week, we're going to be talking, our topic is life after divorce. And I have none other than Kiana Bethany, who wrote this book called Broken to Build, After Your Spouse.
Oh, wow.
Gone. Yeah.
That's Kiana from New Testament Church, right? She wrote a book? I got to get a copy of that.
Yeah,
wow,
Broken to Build. I'm going to share the link, and if anybody wants to purchase the book. So I thank you guys for being here, and make sure you tune in next week. And if you know someone who is going through a divorce or recently divorced, make sure you share with them to tune in next week when we're going to talk about life after divorce. I love you guys.
Hold on. We on next Sunday after Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, we ain't doing nothing. What you doing?
Getting ready for my surgery to Monday. I don't want to be on.
You ain't having no surgery. He's having a cold.
Well, you gonna tell her about it?
But it's not a bad thing.
That's all right. Maybe
everybody over 50 should have one.
Well, whatever.
But anyway, it's not surgery. It is a procedure, but fine. No, we're gonna be on. Kiana Bethany's gonna be with us. Kiki And you know something? This is real crazy. Now, John and Jackie, you know, we've known Kiana for, I don't know, wow, over 20 years.
30 years almost at this point. Yeah, close to.
Maybe longer than that. I never knew her first name was really Coley, like her mom. Because
Oh wow, I didn't know that neither.
Because
I had
her
no
book,
idea.
author, she had the name of Coley Q Bethany. I don't know if you guys
Wow.
can see it.
Mom, send me the link for that. Send me the link for the book when we get off here.
Okay. So she'll be here. So tune in next week. Life After Divorce.
All right. It was a pleasure seeing everyone. Happy holiday to you. I hope you see you.
Yes. Happy holiday.
Yes.
Everybody
stay well.
enjoy your Thanksgiving.
All right. Stay well.
We'll do.
And I'm always on Saturday.
All right. I'm always praying for you.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Be good.
Okay.
All right.
Take care. Have a good night.
Guys.
Good night.
Good night.